Adivachakachaya Ashtutavashata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Chanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Alle Ehre sei den versammelten Gott. Alle Ehre sei den versammelten Gott. Alle Ehre sei den versammelten Gott. Alle Ehre sei Shishi Guru und Gauranga. Alle Ehre sei Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ist uns Mann Sagat. The class is in English?
Yeah.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Reading from Transcendental Diary, edition 5, page 377. In Sri Vrindavan Dham on the 9th of November 1976. And we are in a part where Prabhupada is dealing with his mail, which he did almost every day. So now we are in the middle of a part, it's about a letter from Prabhupada's god brother, His Holiness B.S. Bodhayan Maharaj. So we are in the middle of the letter. Bodhayan Maharaj glorified Srila Prabhupada. It is clear to me that you are great, powerful Acharya in the Vaishnava world at present. He requested a darshan when Prabhupada next comes to Mayapur and concluded by conveying the homage of another god brother, Swami B.S. Santo Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada was both moved and enthused that one of his god brothers was giving him credit for his hard work in spreading Krishna consciousness around the world. And he replied in the spirit of brotherly cooperation that, that he spoke of recently in his morning class. I'm very much obliged to you that you write to Seer. It is clear to me that you are a great, powerful Acharya in the Vaishnava world at present. Sometimes Sridhar Maharaj also says like that. So actually, if you are feeling like that, let us work conjointly. There is great prospect for preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message all over the world and in India also. At least in India, we can preach very vigorously if we combine together. It is already tested in many cases. Whenever we held some festival in big cities like Calcutta, Bombay, Hyderabad, Madras, Delhi, etc., thousands of men gather and they request regularly to continue the program. Recently we held a similar program in Chandigarh, I don't know how to pronounce this properly, and the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math also participated. They invited me in the local center of Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, and many thousands of people came to hear me. So there is a great prospect if we work conjointly, at least in India. So you can consult Sridhar Maharaj also. He is also of that opinion. You have opined, and if in this old age we can do something combinedly, it will be a great triumph. I thank you very much once more. He added that he expects to be back in Mayapur in January. And now the next paragraph is about another letter, so I conclude here. So this is an interesting and important, I think, topic that Srila Prabhupada speaks about in relation to the letter he receives, and that is Srila Prabhupada's attitude towards his god brothers and devotees, people in general. So, as we are convinced of, at least in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada is a great Acharya who was so powerful that he was able to spread Krishna consciousness in a very great style. All of us, we have a little experience how difficult it is to convince others of Krishna consciousness or to spread it, because the whole world is against it, especially present culture, particularly in the West, but also to a certain degree, and there are other difficulties there also in India. So if someone is able to do something like Srila Prabhupada, you have to know that this is really special. It's not ordinary. Who can do this thing? Create a miracle. And it was not, you can see other great people in the world, great leaders, political leaders, or leaders of movements, and they are able to create a great following and have an impact on this world. But what Srila Prabhupada did is in another category altogether. It's not about political power of a great movement liberating a country like India, like Gandhi did, and other people to liberate India, or whatever your country is, a part of the world you are familiar with. There were great political leaders. Some did a lot of damage, some did some good things. Normally it's mixed, but they were influential people and they did great things. Not only in the political field, there may be many other fields also. But what Srila Prabhupada did was something on another level. It's completely different. Is to touch the hearts of people, give people an experience, an internal experience that really touches our soul, which changes our life in a completely different direction, opens us a new dimension of reality. That convinces people so strongly that even the whole world is against you, everyone, you are still convinced because you have an inner experience. Well, who can give you that? An inner experience of truth that you know is truth because you experience it. Although the whole world, which the scriptures call Maya, is against that, but you can see through it Who can give you such an experience? That is not only a liberated soul, but a specially empowered soul. Liberated souls can do things that ordinary people cannot do. But to such an extent, you need special power. You can see Prabhupada's predecessors. Other great saints who had such an impact. Maybe inside India, Prabhupada's own spiritual master, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and others, and especially these two, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they also wanted to spread this message to the whole world, and they made attempts. They were how to say, if someone is convinced of Krishna consciousness and really feels it in his or her heart, they want to give this to everyone. So a really great acharyas like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they felt, why only India? I mean, India is already big. Is not in the category of Germany or another small country. It's very big, a very big population, and very important also in the world. I mean, nowadays from our perspective, we think maybe Germany is important, or United States most important, the West is dominating the world, but India is very important in its own way. It's a unique country. Compare that to any other country, you don't find anything similar. Culture-wise, people-wise, wisdom-wise. Now the whole world is taking knowledge and spiritual practices from India. Maybe Bhakti so far, not so much, really very internal, really spiritual knowledge, not so much. But yoga, meditation and other things, Ayurveda, everything is coming here. Where does it come from? It's all from one country. That I'm making the point that India is a very special country, and I'm saying that the spiritual tools we are getting now, and that the West is thirsty for now, they have discovered it. They have discovered them. It comes all from India. Take yoga, meditation, even things like Ayurveda and other things. Now also there's a Kirtan wave also. Kirtan, yoga and Bhakti is also coming up. Comes all from India. They're all tools, so India is a very important country. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then he started this, or restarted it, this strong engagement of spreading Krishna consciousness, Bhakti, to others, if possible the whole world. And they were successful in India, especially Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He expanded the preaching, he founded a whole movement, and it was flooding India, and that's a big success. But he couldn't stop there. No, his father wanted to stop there. They were sending Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Prabhupada's disciples, they found in libraries where they wanted to place Prabhupada's books, there were already sometimes books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He did that already. And his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was sending disciples to London. He really wanted to preach there also. Extend the message to every heart in this world, if possible. At least to give us a chance to see what it is. So, and he infused this spirit also in Srila Prabhupada. Very early on, first meeting. Not only into Srila Prabhupada, he told it to many people, his disciples for sure, and other people. Whoever he met, who he thought would be qualified to spread Krishna consciousness in the English language dominating language in the world, can reach a lot of people worldwide. So he did that. But the one who picked up on it was Srila Prabhupada, who really picked up on it. It is a difference if you think, yeah, this is a very nice thing that I'm hearing. Maybe I should try to do it. It touches you. But really, to take it seriously and do it, especially such a thing to do, to spread something very intimate to the whole world, to other cultures, in another language that's not your native language, a thing that no one has done yet, a worldwide project, impossible, you think. But for someone who is really deep into Bhakti and understands, not only theoretically, but has experience with the reality, the spiritual reality, nothing is impossible. If Krishna wants, I'm, as a servant of Krishna, can do everything. That's what the philosophy says, no? Krishna can empower you. He can work through you. So, the only thing is, you have to be sure that this is what you have to do. And who is going to tell you what you have to do? Well, it comes down to parampara. It's another part of the spiritual truth, of spiritual knowledge. If you want to know what is your duty, what you should do, what you should not do, no, ask your spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada got this order already before accepting his spiritual master, from his spiritual master. And later when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj became Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, he repeated it again. And the whole thing, their relation was preparation for that. And later he appeared in his dreams and everything. So, empowerment is there. Then the only thing you have to do is do your best in executing it. And there are many details you have to know in whatever your service is. There are many details, especially if it's such a big project. So you have to keep close contact to your spiritual master. If he is not present anymore, then in your heart, and with Krishna, to know all the details what you have to do. And if this service that you have to do is dear to Krishna also, and it has to be, otherwise you wouldn't have gotten the instruction from your spiritual master. And in this case, we know it's for sure, because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita and everywhere, that he wants his message to be taken out to reach all his spiritual parts. So it is Krishna's desire. So just you have to do it. Still, it's not easy. No one could do it, at least a project on such a grand scale, spreading it to the whole world, getting it out of India and reaching the whole world, Srila Prabhupada was the one to do it. But it was quite difficult for his god brothers to appreciate that. Except in a few cases, Srila Prabhupada mentions here Sridhar Maharaj, and there is this letter from his god brother who also seems to appreciate it. So what was Srila Prabhupada's reaction to that? He invited them to take part in it. Isn't that a very, at least for me, is a very special approach from Srila Prabhupada. He already built the movement on his own. No one was helping him. He needed the help of his god brothers. He was begging for it in the very beginning. He didn't get any help. Now the movement is established, 1976. 10 years later, is already a worldwide movement. The movement is coming back to India. It's having great success. One of his god brothers comes forward. I appreciate it very much. Srila Prabhupada says, join me. Come on, we do it together. Isn't that extremely, how to say, generous, or what is the opposite of egoism? It's not, because only a little bit conditioned soul would say, well, careful, I have done this first of all, and I will continue with this also because my project. Srila Prabhupada didn't think it's his project. Isn't that obvious? Anyone who was willing to help in any way in this, Prabhupada welcomed them. And his god brothers, they would play an important role immediately. At least in India, he said here. No? It's also interesting. Maybe not worldwide because they have no experience. Srila Prabhupada went personally to the West to gain experience with Westerners because we are different from Indians in many ways. But at least in India, he welcomed them to come on board. What do you think?
He's a true representative of Krishna because Krishna also wants everyone to come to him. So Prabhupada just is a messenger, the postman, has the same intention as Krishna.
Yeah.
Could you repeat the question, please, Aksara?
My question was, what do you think about everything we have said before? What do you think? What do you think?
Prabhupada is very humble. Like we said, that he doesn't see, he built this alone, but it was the wish of his guru. So he fulfilled the wish of his guru and tried to let God brothers participate. So you need to be humble for doing this, otherwise ego's coming in, like we said, it's my idea.
This is a great movement for participation. That is the mood and spirit of our founder Acharya, of participation. To welcome everyone who wants to do something. And do everything conjointly also, together. No? That's what Srila Prabhupada repeatedly asked us to do, because the nature of this world is not like that, to do things together. Nature of the world is that there are billions of egos in human bodies now almost 8 billion living entities, human beings, everyone with their own concept, idea, interest, and motivation, and many trillions more of living entities in other bodies, come all together into the spiritual movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, and let us serve the Supreme Soul all together. That is a mood of the Krishna conscious movement. Something we have to preserve and maintain ourselves also. Putting aside personal difficulties, personal aspiration, and try to work together the best way we can. Any comments or questions?
It's very interesting that at the same time Srila Prabhupada didn't reject this status of being a charya. At the same time, so this humbleness, it doesn't mean that he didn't say, oh no, I'm not an acharya, no, I'm just, very low person. No, he didn't do that. So, что при этом Шрила хоть он был очень смиренным, но он не отказывался от этого титула ачарьи. То есть он говорит, хорошо, что вы понимаете, что вы ачарья.
Yeah, I like your point very much. It's not just humility. Humility is essential. Well, there's no humility, there is no bhakti. There is no spiritual consciousness. Humility is essential because that counteracts our ego, our false ego. You need to do that. You need to have humility and go into that very strongly, but not in an unrealistic way. Something that is not real. I mean, in a certain sense, humility without limits. That is the instruction. That is always, it can be said, at the essence of all instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He spoke only 8 verses. Of all the 8 verses, the smallest one, the shortest one, is the most important. Trinat api sunechena, the most important message. What does it mean? If you want to practice spiritual life successfully, if you want to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra successfully, you have to do it in a humble mode. And not only some kind of humility, but extreme. Don't expect any respect for yourself. Nothing. Give all respect to all others. Everything. Be tolerant like a tree and more humble than a blade of grass. Expect to be stepped on your head all the time without complaining, without protesting, and without even feeling bad about it, being humiliated. Usually for the ego, the most difficult thing to tolerate is being humiliated by others. Not even feeling bad about it, but happily practicing Krishna consciousness. Know internally your spiritual reality, what you are in reality, and be happy. Everyone can trample on your head, on your body, on your mind, on whatever, because you are not this, you are not all this, you are something different, you exist on a different plane. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, this instruction is humility, absolute humility. But at the same time, you might have to do a service, most probably. So for that, you have to be also realistic. So Srila Prabhupada was a powerful acharya, and he knew it. It's not that he said, no, I'm not. He wouldn't have been able to do anything. If he thought, well, I'm just another person, useless soul, I'm just useless, what can I do? He would never have been able to do anything. No, he knew he was a powerful acharya. He knew he had all the blessings. He knew he had the power. He could see it, that he was empowered, what he could do. The only thing, he didn't think it was his credit. He saw that the Guru Parampara, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Krishna was acting through him. So, no scope for being puffed up, but at the same time being realistic. If you are a good cook and you're supposed to cook the Sunday feast, and you think I'm useless, you will not even start doing anything.
That would be a false humbleness.
Yes. No, it's my service, is given to me. I have worked very hard to acquire these skills, and Krishna has given me, empowered me to do this, so I have to do it. I have to do it. No, don't be an idiot and not do it. But at the same time, if you're attacked or something, don't feel insulted or attacked, whatever. Try to do your service the best that you can with all humility, but not with false humility. Oh, Prabhu, Mataji, I'm useless. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. I cannot do that. Well, I cannot do anything. Okay. Or go directly to the spiritual world and you cannot do anything. You can't do anything here. It's the right kind of consciousness that is very difficult to attain. And who says it is easy? Well, sometimes our Acharya says it's very easy. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Yeah, in a sense it is easy. But actually it takes all our life endeavor, all our strength, and a lot of help from others, and in the end, the help of Krishna's internal potency to make us able to do it. But everything is yours if you just want to do it. Because Krishna wants you to do it. Your spiritual master wants you to do it. All the acharyas wants you to become self-realized. Just you have to want it also. And put all your endeavor into it. And success is guaranteed. In your own project of becoming Krishna conscious, and also in all the services that are given to you. The empowerment is there. Lamrita, you want to say something? Hmm?
To Purushottama Priya's question and comment, that is Acharya, that is an example. Yes, a person can be an example when he shows what he has collected, what he has followed for, and then collected his life and experience from the other Acharyas. So that's why Acharya means character, it's spiritual character. And in the process of fulfilling the spiritual activities, following the devotee scripture, spiritual master, the rules, regulations, yes, we are getting humble. Because the more we follow, the more we are getting humble. The more we understand that we should take this previous experience and use it practically for the others. And then our consciousness is purified more or less, and then we can reach. That's why Achar and then Prachar. That is practical, what I can get from the practical, how to say, work. Yes, and that is mercy. And that is mercy to understand what we don't follow. The king also follows. King is just the highest level. He follows. wishes of the people, how to fulfill, how to make his population happy. And that is 2-3 character. Yeah, so that's what Acharya. That is in this small book as well. Two numbers of Sri Prabhupada found Acharya of ISKCON. That's why Bhakti is a social element of our consciousness. It's social, that's why. Yeah. To follow. Yeah, for me it's the most important thing. And not easy. It's an egoist.
Yeah. Thank you. One of our most important subjects. The ego and the right practice of humility. So we have to go to Srimad Bhagavatam. I always have the problem, as you have noted, to stop speaking about a little paragraph in Transcendental Diary, because it's so full of things, is so important. So I have to break here the discussion about this and go to Srimad Bhagavatam, where we are studying now, Canto 5, Chapter 8, the character of Bharata Maharaj, and it is verse 24, right? It's down here. Oh, haven't I read this last time? It looks similar to the last verse. I don't know. It's another verse, sorry. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Api Svit Asau Bhagavan Udupati Enam Mrigapatibaya Mritamataram Mrigabalakam Swa Ashrama Paribrashtam Anukampaya Kripana Janavatsala Paripati Api Swetasau Bhagavan Utipati Inamrigapati Bhayanrita Mataram Mriga Balakam Swashrama Paribrashtam Anukampaya Kripana Janavatsala Paripati Api Sweet. Can it be? Asau that Bhagavan most powerful Udupati the moon Enam this Mrigapati Bayad because of fear of the lion Mritamataram who lost its mother Mrigabalakam the son of a deer Swa Ashama Paribrashtam who strayed from its ashram Anukampaya out of compassion Kripana Janavatsala the moon who is very kind to unhappy men Paripati now is protecting it. Translation. Maharaj Bharata continued to speak like a madman. Seeing above his head the dark marks on the rising moon, which resembled a deer. He said, "Can it be that the moon who is so kind to an unhappy man, might also be kind upon my deer, knowing that it has strayed from home and has become motherless? This moon has given the deer shelter near itself just to protect it from the fearful attacks of a lion." And there is no purport on this verse, so I'm going to read the translation of the next verse and its purport, which is also small. So, text 25, translation. After perceiving the moonshine, Maharaj Bharata continued speaking like a crazy person. He said, "The dear sun was so submissive and dear to me that due to its separation, I'm feeling separation from my own son. Due to the burning fever of this separation, I am suffering as if inflamed by forest fire. My heart, which is like the lily of the land, is now burning. Seeing me so distressed, the moon is certainly splashing its shining nectar upon me, just as a friend throws water on another friend who has high fever. In this way, the moon is bringing me happiness." Purport. According to Ayurvedic treatment, it is said that if one has high fever, someone should splash him with water after gargling this water. In this way, the fever subsides. Although Bharata Maharaj was very aggrieved due to the separation of his so-called son, the deer, he thought that the moon was splashing gargled water on him from its mouth, and that this water would subdue his high fever, which was raging due to the separation from the deer. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So here we hear two more poetic, beautiful verses spoken by Maharaj Bharata. It's really poesy. He looks at the moon and he thinks, the moon is there to shine its light on me, to cool down my fever of aggrievement that I have for the separation of my dear son, the deer. Actually, the deer, the small deer, so cute and so dear to Maharaj Bharata, it seems was more important for Maharaj Bharata than his own son, because he had left home. He had left everything, the end of his life, finished all family responsibilities, handing all the responsibilities over, which was not easy to do, because he was the most responsible person in the world from the load of his responsibilities, the great king. He handed over all his responsibilities to go to the forest alone, and then he got attraction for a small animal, and he made this his new responsibility. And this was now like his son. And so in both verses, as you have heard, Srila Prabhupada begins the verse with Maharaj Bharata continues talking like a crazy madman. But I don't know how you feel about it. When I read these verses, they are beautiful. It's beautiful poesy. It's expressing his sentiments, his heart. his feelings for another living entity that is helpless, and he is feeling for that. Isn't that beautiful? Well, actually, also these verses remind me of many other verses and songs I have heard, like all the love songs, the pop songs. They're all like this. You express your heart, your sentiments, and if you really like that music, you identify with it, you hear. Now there are no records anymore, but when I was small, I had records of the Beatles and ABBA and everything, and I was lying on my bed and hearing the songs, and I was feeling these feelings of love for an imaginary partner or whatever. You really, and it's so important in our life, so essential to have these kinds of feelings. They are beautiful and they befit the soul, because our basic feeling as a soul is we don't want to be isolated, alone, egoistic, and separated from others. We want to open our heart and love others. At least one living entity, to share our love, our life with one living entity, and maybe more. So it's a natural feeling for the soul, and it's beautiful. The only problem is when this sentiment, this so important sentiment, natural sentiment of the soul, is misplaced. This is what happened to Bharat Maharaj. Therefore Prabhupada says he continued to speak like a madman. So everyone is talking like a madman in this mad world. It's natural for us to talk like a madman. But we need it, because we have to place our love somewhere. And as long as we don't know where to place our love, our sentiments, then we will have to continue talking like mad men and mad women, and create a lot of disturbance and suffer and make others suffer. This is the state of the material world. And is always a state of the material world, not only in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga things become a little bit more complicated still, but it's everywhere. It's in Dvapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, in Satya Yuga, even in parts of the universe where there are no yugas, in the heavenly kingdom, on the highest planets. This moha illusion, misplacing our heart, our feelings, is everywhere in this world. This is kind of a curse. Like we hear from the Bible and Christianity, it's basic philosophy, basic understanding, that because of Adam and Eve, they committed the original curse. We are all cursed. We have to live here, to suffer here. And for liberation, we have to behave well and place our faith in the right thing, in the right person, an acharya, follow his instructions, and wait for another life to be liberated, to have this grace, this mercy to get out of this situation. So, and we are also cursed, that's why we are here, but the curse is not, according to Vaishnava philosophy, because of some other living entities who have been there before us, who committed a mistake, an error, therefore we have inherited this curse, which is basically part of the philosophy of Christianity. No, it's because we ourselves decided to come here. No living entity is in this world because of the fault of someone else. Because someone else made a mistake and they had to suffer and now everyone else has to suffer. No, this is not Indian thought. This is not spirituality. This is not what the scriptures say. But we have decided to take our love away from Krishna and experiment with it, do something else with it. And the only remedy for that is to place our love again in Krishna. The mistake that we committed, why we have to be here in this situation, can be rectified in one moment. Just understand your mistake and go back to your original, natural situation. You can do it in one moment. And you're immediately excused. You can immediately continue your life with Krishna. Krishna doesn't hate you because you committed this mistake. Also because it's kind of natural for a soul to commit this mistake. As tiny, tiny, tiny sparks, little parts of Krishna. And because of our natural position, the soul is considered the marginal energy between spiritual energy and material energy. The soul can live in the spiritual energy, being in full association with the Supreme Lord, being full of knowledge, being fully blissful, placing its love on Krishna, the origin, or it can do otherwise. We can commit this mistake. We can live in Maya and we can live in Krishna consciousness. And the ability to change is always there. You have this free will. Always. It's always intact. And it is only your own decision. So now we are cursed. That's why we are in a difficult situation. But it doesn't mean we are cursed forever. You can get out of it easily. And it's not the fault of someone else. Nor is it someone else who can take this decision for you to love Krishna. No one can take that decision for you. You have to take that decision. And it does not mean that you cannot love others also. Many times this is, only love Krishna, everyone else is Maya. Avoid everyone, like pest. My love is only for Krishna. And everyone else is cut out, eradicated. Leave me alone. It's all Maya. No, if you sincerely place your love on Krishna, Krishna is the origin. Krishna is the eternal source of everything, of everyone. We are inside of Krishna. Nothing exists apart from Krishna. We are a part of Krishna. Not a separate living entity that Krishna is there and he's very big and he's God and we are here apart. We are never a part of Krishna. A part. We are a part. I don't know. Do you understand this wordplay? We are not a part. We are a part of Krishna. We cannot be separated from him. So, if we turn away our face from Krishna, it's kind of unnatural. It's kind of impossible, you could say. you're part of is like the same as if the small finger of my right hand says, no, I'm not part of this body. I don't care for you. Well, it's not nice, it's not just, and it's not possible even. So we are trying to do something, taking our love away from Krishna, that is impossible. It cannot be. But because we are free, we have free will, that is also part of our nature. Krishna allows us to do it. But then he has to put us into this Maya so we can forget about him. Otherwise, where's the point of free will if we don't get a situation where we can seemingly do what we want, which is to forget Krishna. So, but because we are still a soul, and we have feelings, and we have love, we are in this world, so we have to put our love somewhere. And that's what we will do. But it doesn't have, it's kind of an incomplete action. Because loving another living entity, another soul, is very good. But if we do it with the exclusion of the Supreme Soul, we are only loving a small part of Krishna. It's not enough. It's not enough to satisfy us. Because placing our love on one living entity, or on two, on three, on our family, friends, maybe our nation, maybe all humanity, it's still only a fraction of the Supreme Truth. We are ignoring the rest. What is this? That will create a disturbance in ourselves. And it will divide the whole world into two things, two parts, two categories. Yeah. One I love and the other I don't love. Maybe I hate or don't care, it doesn't matter. No, it's not like that. The nature of the soul, we are a small replication of Krishna, tiny. Our nature is to love everyone. Krishna loves everyone. Our nature is also to love everyone. Hate is not our nature. Hate is that's where duality starts. And even you can say, okay, I don't hate others. I just don't care for them. Well, it's hate in a sense also. At least it's not love, which is natural for you. So that's why it's called craziness, illusion, Maya. And Prabhupada says, what Maharaj Bharata is doing here is exactly that. He has given up his worship for Krishna, for God. He's neglecting it. And he worships, he gives all his heart for a tiny, tiny part of Krishna. Now we have to take care of the tiny parts of Krishna also, but without neglecting Krishna. And actually it happens automatically. If you place your love on Krishna, you will feel for all other living entities. And not in a sense of duality, but in a sense of inclusion. No one is excluded from your love, independent of their behavior even, independent if they reciprocate with you. So this deer was reciprocating with Bharata Maharaj. The lion not. The lion is the enemy here. And other living entities, there are so many living entities in the forest, Maharaj Bharata didn't care for. There were other living entities who also needed protection. Everyone needs protection all the time. Why is this deer only? No, the deer is so cute, it reciprocates. Well, that's true, but it's cute temporarily. It reciprocates temporarily. It stopped reciprocating, it went away. It was dealing with Bharata Maharaj for some time, and then it went away. That's natural for a wild animal. It doesn't want to stay in a small garden or in a cage with human beings. As human beings, we have the nature to keep animals like that. A bird in a cage, fishes in an aquarium with us. So we have something we can put our love and care to give some food and So no, I want to be free. So this deer wanted to be free at one point. Enough play with this old king, who is not a king even anymore. He's very nice, but now I'm going to do something else. So this illusion breaks sooner or later, always. All our relationships in this world will break at one point. Latest point is the point of death. But our eternal relationship with the souls, they never break. So that's what we have to commit to. From soul to soul. Therefore in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the wise, they don't see differences between one soul or the other. They see the spirit soul in all external forms, in all spaces of life. That is a level of relationship we have to cultivate from soul, to see the spirit soul, to see how the soul is an eternal part of Krishna, so beautiful, so pure, meant to serve and love Krishna the same as me. Let's do it together. Unity is there. Love for everyone is there. And if some don't want to cooperate, well, it's their decision. We can still try to make them part of the family, but they are never excluded. As soon as they have the inclination to take part in the whole family, they are welcome. Any questions or comments?
Можно после лекции спросить такой вопрос, что... Ладно, сейчас спрошу. На что акцент больше делать?
The question is, what should be the emphasis?
Воспевание чистой Махамантры.
Chanting of the pure holy names.
Служение Кришне.
Making service towards Krishna.
Служение преданным.
Or to serve to devotees and to cultivate relationships with them.
И распространение знаний. Как это
or to spread the knowledge.
В каких-то пропорциях, чтобы ничего не...
How should we, what kind of proportion should we make?
Не выпадало.
To keep it in order, in balance.
На что больше акцент, а на что как уменьшить?
What should be more emphasized?
Потому что еще чтение книг,
and also we have to read the books,
обязанности,
to do other duties.
Yeah.
How to balance all these things.
It could be seen as a difficult situation because we have so many options to do in Krishna consciousness. There are so many possibilities. But that is actually the beauty of Krishna consciousness. You can serve Krishna, if it is really serving Krishna, in whatever way you want. What is your inclination, your natural talent, your situation, your needs? But of course, then if there are many options, there might also be the problem to select. So that's why you have a spiritual master. If you cannot find out on your own, if you don't understand from studying the scriptures, because in the scriptures all these different options are given, but it is also sometimes said this is more important than the other because of this and this reason. This is for this age. This is for this kind of devotee. He or she should concentrate on that. And then if you read on, there might be statements that reverse this kind of argumentation and stress on something else. So it's good to study all these to understand yourself, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. But still, even if you understand it very well, you still have to consult with your spiritual master. At least for the basic direction. As we had the case with Srila Prabhupada, he was told by his spiritual master, he was, that was the main instruction. Of course he had to chant also rounds, he was initiated and his duty as a householder was to chant 16 rounds. Those who were living in an ashram with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they were supposed to chant 64 rounds and do many other things also, services. But the prime instruction, the most important instruction that he gave Srila Prabhupada was preaching Krishna consciousness in the English language, a special instruction. Now I said before, he gave that also to other people and disciples, but also not to everyone. So the main point in my answer is consult with your spiritual master. You can also consult with others, senior devotees on the same level as you, and you should also think about it yourself. What is your inclination? What do you understand is most important for you? One thing is, for a devotee we know for sure, chanting 16 rounds with all our heart every day is the base of everything else. Otherwise you won't be able to help others or to do any other thing with quality. If you want to do anything with quality, whatever it is, if you want to love Krishna even with quality, sadhana, you are a sadhana devotee. And also for a beginning devotee, which is not, it doesn't only mean the first month or years, but Kanishta Adhikari, as long as we are in the category of Kanishta Adhikari, we have to put Krishna in the center very, very much. Because the tendency is immediately to forget Krishna. A Kanishta Adhikari is kind of, he has a fault that he only worships the deity, or with other words, he only worships Krishna and he doesn't care for others. It's his fault and that has to be corrected. But the remedy for that is, Srimad Bhagavatam says, no, stop it. He says, continue worshipping the deity, continue to worship Krishna. Which also means for us, Kali Yuga, continue chanting the holy names. And then, naturally, you will open your heart to others also. You will start realizing that everyone is a part and parcel of Krishna. That is a process. You can never give up to put Krishna in the center. The only thing is, as you mature, you naturally open up to others also. And in the beginning, you can't do that very much. Now you should also not ignore others. That is, maybe a beginning devotee, as long as we are Kanishta Adhikaris, we are conflictive people. It's difficult to be with each other. But it's not a question then to neglect Krishna and, okay, now I go to the world and I stop my focus on Krishna, my sadhana, in any way to take care of others. This was a mistake Maharaj Bharata was doing. He neglected worship of Krishna. He took care of a small deer. It's a good thing to take care of others, but he neglected Krishna, that's the point. He was not a Kanishta Adhikari. Even that is still a mistake on all levels. You don't lose anything if you only focus on Krishna. And you don't neglect anyone if you only focus on Krishna. Because Krishna includes everyone else. And how to worship Krishna? There are different ways. Some are more important, more powerful than others. Some are more important temporarily, depending on your situation, your nature. And well, you have to find out about that by trying to understand yourself and consulting with others. Yeah, it's okay. Is it okay?
Все важно, это есть понимание, что все важно.
Yes, I understand that everything is very important. No?
Да, в каких пропорциях? Можешь буду сказать, буду спрашивать.
So she thinks that maybe I should really consult my spiritual master
Yeah.
about the proportion, in what
Exactly.
should I do it on
That is the best person to ask that is your spiritual master, without a doubt.
Or I'm telling you, or she can ask Rishi Kumar Prabhu.
What?
I'm adding that, or she can ask Rishi Kumar Prabhu. It's a joke.
It's a good joke. I remember when I was a new devotee in this temple, my temple president was a Mataji, a Sangha Mataji. I owe her everything because she is really the most important person who got me into Krishna consciousness. Because she made this temple possible. She made the restaurant possible, which was my first place I could go. I think I would have never gone to a Hare Krishna temple. But I could go to the restaurant, and she took personally care for me. I owe her everything, really. She has passed away in recent years. And I remember one situation, I was very determined already, fanatic about Krishna consciousness. I was living in the temple, and I don't remember clearly what the point was, but there was a situation where I was speaking to her, and I told her, I don't know what Krishna wants. So in a sense, I want to find out what Krishna wants, something that I had to do. And she told me, I can tell you what Krishna wants. It was about service. I was about to decide what I should do, and I really wanted to take the decision myself. Not myself, in relation to Krishna, to find out, talk to him, see what's going on, you know, what we have to do also, everyone. So my temple president, forget it, I can tell you. Go to the kitchen and wash the dishes or something. I knew that was going to come. I felt really offended. I remember that. So authorities have to be a little careful to support the relation with Krishna and not say, no, don't turn to Krishna and find out yourself, I will tell you. Anyway, that's why I'm saying it's the duty of authorities we have in Krishna consciousness, which are very important, to support the individual connection of everyone to Krishna, support it, not creating a conflict there, or stop thinking, stop Krishna consciousness, just follow me. Could be. But it's not so easy. Yeah.
If I can say just a little thing, there are many examples also in early days of Srila Prabhupada's disciples when, for instance, it's very famous the case of a mother that was asked by the temple to become. She just had a child recently, and the child needed her, but the temple authorities were in need of pujaris. So they asked her to be a full-time pujari. And that would have meant that the child needed a babysitter, or and it was still not even 1 year old. So at that point, that person felt like, no, I need to ask my spiritual master because I'm in conflict. I cannot, as a mother, And what Srila Prabhupada said strongly was, your child is your duty. So now your duty is be a mother for him. You have to be with him. You have to take care of his education. He's very young. He needs you. So, even if sometimes the authorities, well, of course, working with the deities is very elevated service. But you have to take care of a child and bring him up in Krishna consciousness. That's as important.
Yeah, he even told her, now for you the process is child worship. He used this very word. So this is just throwing the conclusion that I was trying to transmit to you and reverse everything. Actually, in the fifth canto, in the beginning, there was a story of Maharaj Priyavrata, maybe you remember, and he was fully focused on Krishna, also living in the forest like Maharaj Bharata, and then his father came, no, you have to rule the world now. You have to rule the world. Forget about your Krishna worship, come here, you have some duties. And the spiritual master said, no, you are a perfect brahmachari, you don't have to enter into these worldly activities. And then Brahma had to come to again convince. So, I'm giving another conclusion that it's not so easy. Therefore, consult with your spiritual master, consult with Krishna, consult with everyone, and let Krishna show you what you have to do. Use all the options that you have, so Krishna makes it clear to you what has to be done. And many times we are confused about that. But in the end, Krishna will make it clear. That's what we have to go for. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.